What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I'm Wolfman, and today we are getting excited because Stranger Things. That's my impression of the theme song for you guys. I'm really excited because Stranger Things season 5, the final season, is dropping on November 26th, I believe.
I believe it's the day before Thanksgiving at like 6 at night.
Yeah, so they're dropping. So they're dropping it very soon, next month. So we are going to be here bi-weekly now for you guys, every other week, giving you guys a Stranger Things season like spoiler review / discussion to share with y'all and give you guys our thoughts and just do a deep dive on Stranger Things leading up to the final season. And I just gotta say, like, it's gonna be really bittersweet when the show does come to an end, when we do this journey, when we reach the end of this road to Stranger Things 5, because this is one of the shows that was on during the golden age of television. The golden age of television to me was when The Sopranos started in 1999, all the way to when Better Call Saul ended, which was like in 2021. And that to me was like the golden age of television. So Stranger Things was on during that time. And it's sad just to see like one of the last shows that was in the golden age of television is leaving us now.
But look on the bright side. We know Netflix is probably already cooking up new ideas, and they have so many new shows always coming out. One of them is bound to be a hit, and bound to be the next big thing. And two, I would rather this than have a show like the fucking Simpsons, where we're saying, you know what, this show would have been great if it ended 10 seasons ago, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's better that we're saying, hey, we're going out now. We're going out strong. This is going to be great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I agree. I think it's better to go out while you're on top. And they're definitely going out while they're on top because this is one of the better this is one of the best Netflix shows out there for sure. And before we really get started delving deep into this review, this discussion here, I want to just, have us each share our fondest memories of Stranger Things, because this is farewell. We're doing the last time. This is the last time we'll review season 1. The last time we'll review any of these seasons. So just what is the fondest memory that you have ever had of Stranger Things?
Well, I have two. One is more fun and the other is more heartfelt. So the more fun one was when I first watched the ending of season 1. I'd maybe say like episodes 5 through 8. I was at home and I was binging them, and I wasn't as into horror back then, and the room was dark. So as I'm watching it, I'm like, on my phone, I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? What's going on? The adrenaline is just going through my body, but but I am loving it. I'm like, I do not want to stop watching this until I get to the end of it. Like, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
And it was like I believe it was like October, November, maybe early December. So it was like a colder time. So it was like a nice, cool night kind of a thing.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
and I'm there watching Stranger Things. One of my favorite memories of that show was that night.
Yeah, no, that is beautiful. It's like, and yeah, it's a horror show, so this is actually perfect to be reviewing for the month of October because it's a spooky show, spooky season. It works perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you said you had another fond memory too, or not as fond memory.
Yes,
But yeah.
I had a friend that loved Stranger Things. We were talking about it season 1, season 2, season 3, and then we got to season 4, and we were talking about season 4, and it was between that break of the new episodes right before they dropped the second half of the new episodes. Then she passed away. She literally passed away. Like, so I'm sitting there watching this new season. Like, she would have loved that. My friend would have loved that reveal. That reveal. And this moment and that moment was just so good that I just wish that she was around.
Yeah, that is really emotional and sad, but that's like just shows you the power of television, of movies, just what they're able to convey for us and how they're able to make us feel. So
Exactly.
yeah, for me, my first memory of this show, I remember seeing this series as it was first being aired and was blown away at the time. At the time, I've seen nothing like it. Now I've gone to watch stuff like Twin Peaks, and I see how much Twin Peaks is actually how much this show is taken from Twin Peaks. Like it's quite a good amount. But at the time, I didn't see anything like it. It was compelling sci-fi that felt like Stand By Me meets The Goonies with narrative following the story from the kids' perspectives, also following it from adults and teenagers. And when I was watching this show, it was in 2016, is when the first season came out. Can't believe it's almost 10 years old. But whenever I was watching this show, I was a junior in high school. So I was able to relate and connect to all the kind of all the high school angst in this, if you will, and then all the other previous angst of what it's like to be in middle school and everything. And they captured that so well and so accurately, and so I was really able to connect to it on a personal level. And getting together with my friends was such a blast, and the conversations surrounding the show were just so engaging. We would come over to each other's houses and have Stranger Things watch parties. That was one of my biggest things. Was the fondest memory of the show is having Stranger Things watch parties. I remember specifically a Halloween party when Stranger Things 2 dropped, and I dressed up as Sheriff Hopper. I had like I had the whole like badge with like the police officer uniform, the hat. I had it all decked out. And then my friends all dressed up in their Halloween costumes, and we did like a Halloween party. But then we also just watched all of Stranger Things season 2 that day together, and it was just so great to be able to see that. And I was able to watch, the I was able to watch, the finale of season 4 with those same friends, or at least with most of the same friends. It was kind of bittersweet because a lot of that group split apart. So like I haven't seen some of that group that was there at that party watching Stranger Things 2 with me. I haven't seen them in a good amount, but some of those people I still see. And, I've gone over to their house and watched the season 4 finale, but now it doesn't feel the same now that like all these episodes are going to be so long, because now it's like we can't have those Stranger Things watch parties. We can't have binge parties where we binge the whole season in one day, and all that.
Yes,
and especially because they're splitting it up into parts and everything, you know. So it's,
you could do a finale. You could do a finale like a hey, we're gonna get guys together like one last time.
yeah.
Do
I'm thinking about doing that. I'm actually thinking about renting out a theater for the finale too. So that would be
I would
really
I would totally just sneak in if I was there. I'd be like, hey, I'm a Stranger Things fan too.
Oh, of course, dude. If you were here, I would invite you to the theater screening for the finale. Yeah, I'm thinking about renting out a theater to do it. But
I have a certain character that I'm going to talk about in here that is my favorite character in the series. I don't know if you can see my full name, where I give away my favorite character is.
Oh yeah, I don't have the name
okay.
stuff on. So.
I am going to talk about one character a lot, who is my favorite character in Stranger Things.
Yeah, my favorite. We'll get to who our favorite characters are in a second, but we'll do a deep dive now. We'll start our deep dive into season 1, starting with episode 1, which is the very first episode of Stranger Things. Can
I just mention how creepy that opening is?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first off, the opening. Are you talking about like the? Because the opening that I know of, I remember every time I think of the show opening is whenever they're all playing D&D and everything.
Yes, together. That was fun. I really liked that, and that's a lot of fun. But I was thinking more a few minutes later when Will is trying to get home and all that spooky shit is going down.
Yeah, that is really creepy. I love because that was another personal thing for me too that I didn't talk about earlier is me and my friends would get together all the time and play Dungeons and Dragons.
I still play Dungeons and Dragons. I have groups for it.
Oh, dude, I would love if they're virtual. I would love to be a part of that because I love playing Dungeons and Dragons. I just haven't been able to play in a while because this group split apart. So yeah, we played Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and I was able to really relate to the whole animosity they were having towards each other playing Dungeons and Dragons there at the beginning, and I thought that it was heartwarming, funny, but also heartfelt seeing all the kids just joining together to do that, and I had just how young they look. Going back, watching season 1 again, just how young they all look. It is insane.
That's why they're ending it probably because they know that if they continue it, they would have to age them up like a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and that's why I was hoping like the newest season was going to have a huge time jump or something, but no, they're only doing like a time jump by like maybe like 1 or 2 years, and it's just to me, I feel like they should have a way massive time jump or something because of how old these kids look. But yeah, they really hit their growth spurt. But let's talk about because yeah, right after they're playing D&D, you know, they're all going home. They all think it's going to be fine, Danny. But Will, he's riding his bike home, and then the episode's called "The Vanishing of Will Byers" because as he's riding his bike home, some man is standing there, and he turns into the woods, and he just completely tries to run away, get inside his shed and where his house is. Yeah. He tries to grab the gun, but it's just I love the way this whole opening is shot, where you just see the shadow of which we now know. We now know that was not a Demogorgon standing there. That was Vecna. If you look close enough, it is it's a human-like stature with a human-like face. It doesn't have actually the Demogorgon face on it. So interesting.
What I love is they set up the mystery of this show like that. And what I love even more is the character dynamics. Like if you look like a show like Friends or How I Met Your Mother or like sitcoms, it usually takes a while. It takes a few episodes for you to get to know the characters and their interactions and get used to it. And this in in the first scene, in the first episode, every character is defined. Every character you're like, okay, I can remember this because they are so defined.
Yeah. Yeah. No, every single character has their own kind of dynamics. You have the kids who are, being dumb kids, but are really fun and just enjoying life while they can. And then you have the teenagers who are dealing with the stupidest kind of issues imaginable. And then you have the adults. And I love how it bounces from perspective to perspective here. And after Will Byers vanishes,
and the jumping from perspective to perspective, it never feels like I've seen some shows. It's like back to this storyline. Fuck, fuck, we have to deal with this now. I was getting really invested in this, but now we have to talk about this. No, it's like every single storyline is legitimately like, oh, okay, I'm invested in this.
Yeah, no, I think that you get so invested in these storylines, and rewatching it again, I was watching it with my mom, and I watch the show with her all the time, but we love Stranger Things, and she connected so much to Winona Ryder's character because after Will Byers gets taken, you see how she reacts, how she is ready to go off. She knows something is up, and she goes into the Sheriff Hopper's office, and he's like, 9 times out of 10, when something like this happens or 99% out of 100, when something like this happens, it's just a prank or whatever gone on. She's like, 99%. What about the one? The one, she's determined that he could be the 1% that he is missing, and that Hopper needs to get off his ass and do something. And I just love her mother bear personality. And my mom really related to it as a parent of just doing whatever you can to get your son back, no matter what happens.
And can we talk about Winona Ryder's acting in season 1?
Oh my God. How she did not get Emmy nominated for season 1 baffles me. Like, it just
I'm like, this is like a performance in a film that if somebody gave this performance, it would be like an Oscar, like, oh, this person's definitely in the conversation,
Oh yeah.
Like this person may even win, kind of like a thing, but not even to get nominated.
Yeah. And you can see the tears on her face. You can just see the kind of pain that she is having to go through, knowing that her son is not there with her anymore. And let's talk also about talking about acting. Let's talk about the acting of the kids in this show.
Damn, they're doing great. Like,
so good. And
I think everybody does a great job in this show. There's no bad actors, I feel, in this show. And separating from good parents to bad parents, there is one person that I'm like, I hope this person gets killed off.
Oh, really? Which one?
Ted.
He is a parent who's just kind of oblivious.
Mike's dad. Mike's dad. I'm like, he served like nothing. Like, I don't know if I could change my perspective in season 2, 3, and 4, but I do not remember a single thing throughout the seasons that he does. I'm like, ooh, that really contributes.
Yeah, Ted is maybe the most useless character on the whole show. just gotta say.
And can I also address one other thing? I love the scene when 11 is introduced
Yes.
and we see the restaurant owner. How the restaurant owner starts off that, hey, get out of here, and then later on we actually see him actually having a conversation with 11 and actually legitimately trying to get to know her, and then he gets shot.
Oh, which really is painful because he started to like the dude, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
then you see him get killed, and yeah, Toby. For all of you This Is Us fans, that's Toby from This Is Us.
Speaking of characters that I don't like that become good, my favorite character
Oh yeah.
in the entire series, Steve Harrington. He is my favorite character, and I went into season 1 and I'm like, okay, we're gonna get douchey Steve. But remember, Andrew, we get seasons 2 and then season 3, then season 4 Steve, which is great. Okay. But as I'm watching this Steve, I'm like, why is he better like later on? Like even as I'm watching it, I'm like, he has range in this show, and he even goes through his own like little emotional arc in this show alone, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I
and honestly, while he is a douche in this season, and don't get me wrong, while he is a douche, he's not necessarily wrong on what he believes. It's his friends around him that are, controlling him to make the bad choices.
yes,
But like his actual ideas and thoughts, you see how he was hurt seeing, Jonathan sleeping with his girlfriend and another in
yes.
the center and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I could relate to that. I would also
I
probably feel hurt and such. And
when
and
I will talk about that when that comes because I do agree with you, but I would like to talk about one team that gave him a serious a plus in my book for how one scene was handled.
what?
When he breaks into Nancy Wheeler's house and she's trying to do things with her and she actually says no and Steve's actually respectfully listens,
Mhm.
backs off. I'm like, you know what? You are becoming a lot better now.
Yeah, because so many kind of douchey characters that you would see, the type of Steve Harrington type of characters would have just basically said, no, we're not. I'm going to continue to
Either that,
do it,
either
or
that,
just
or
storm
they
out and leave. I'm like,
either that or throw him out and leave. No, he stayed. He helped her. He stayed. Like I'm like, okay, I respect this.
Yeah, I agree. So, and talking about Nancy, I want to talk about her because she has an amazing arc this season.
I feel like this is the best Nancy season. This is the best of her season, in my opinion. I still have to see the other seasons, but
yeah, she does have my favorite Nancy moment though. Might be when she dances with Dustin at the ball in season 2, but we'll get to that whenever we get to that in the next few weeks. But I will say that I think that this is her best arc that she has because you see in the first episode how Mike is picking on her. She's got they're kicking each other under the table. It's that kind of behavior attitude. She is kind of hanging out with the wrong group. She's dismissive of Barb, which is her friend. She hangs out with Barb, but she's like kind of ignores Barb from time to time because she is so busy and caught up hanging out with like Steve and and his gang. And
they say their names, but I'm like, I do not even.
Yeah, they're like I know every character's name on the show except I even know Ted's name. I just don't even know those other bully characters that are with Steve. It's like I can't even name you a single one of them. But yeah, Nancy, she starts off like that, and then once we get to episode 2, which we're gonna
hold on. Perfect ending though to episode 1, for they're in the woods and
Oh yeah, and then you see 11 and
they
everything.
see 11, they meet 11, and I'm like, this is the perfect ending. And
That's so good, yeah, because season 1 or episode 1 is basically mostly just them looking for Will, and then they come across 11 in the woods, and it's just very interesting and very intriguing to see the 11 character and then where her story goes in season 1.
Yes, and I even wrote this down. I love as soon as we meet 11, Mike's kindness to 11 is
he ramps it up to an 11.
it's immediate. It's immediate. It's not like a, oh, I don't like you, it's like so many sitcoms like, oh, I don't like you either, kind of like a thing, and they have to grow to like each other. No, this is a friendship formed right from the start.
Yeah. No, I agree. And talking about a friendship, we can move on to episode 2. Episode 2, we get the Weirdo on Maple Street is what it is titled, and this was a kind of sad episode because there's more revelations about Will, but then this was the sad episode because, as I was talking about Nancy, Ashley's getting so caught up in hanging out with Steve and hanging out with all the other kind of posse of his. Barb ends up biting the dust in this episode. And
yes,
it's the saddest.
One of the most iconic, like, Stranger Things episode endings, or hell, Stranger Things moments of all time. Like if you were to make like a top 10 iconic Stranger Things moments, I think this could be the top 5. Like Barb's death. I love the lore setup in this episode too. There's so much like little lore setups, and I'm like, just feels so organic. Also, do you remember Jonathan and Will's chat, like in that flashback?
Yeah, that was so good.
With the abusive father, and I'm like, that is such a sweet human moment.
And something that I feel a lot of people can relate to, because I know for me, my parents are divorced. I was able to kind of relate to some of the like listening to the arguments and such. And then my sister, I didn't have a brother, but I had a sister who was like kind of helping me, as they would argue and such. And it was very emotional to see that.
And
yeah,
I get that. And also something else I've noticed, they do expertly, because we like film, so we know the whole phrase, show don't tell, show don't tell. We know that phrase.
Oh yeah.
Showing 11's backstory, they could have so easily have just found her documents and like found all that information, but no, throughout the season they show us the backstory of 11. They slowly feed us the information of her backstory. Dr. Brenner,
played brilliantly by Matthew Modine. Great character actor there.
I forget him. Is he still alive?
We'll get to that here once we get further along in the show, but we'll get to discussing Matthew Modine's character, especially in the finale and what happens there and such. But yeah,
and I love how 11 uses her powers in season 2. How they wait, I feel, an appropriate amount of time for her to use the powers, and then wait for that great moment for her to use her powers.
Yeah, and just seeing all the kind of psychological abuse she's been having to take, but it's so unfortunate because she grew up with that being her papa, because she doesn't remember ever having like a real father, which is like, ugh.
And I agree. Episode 2 felt a lot more supernatural than season 1. It felt like this is where all the supernatural elements come into play. And also in episode 2, during the party, this is where that whole sliding back and forth with Steve comes along, because he did have some douchey moments at the party, and I'm like, okay, you're not 100%, but he comes off as very frat bro at that party. I'm like, he is a frat bro basically.
I gotta say, I know it's a nitpick, but that party scene, I have a nitpick with that scene. I've never understood why stab the beer can on the side and then lift it up like that. I've never understood it my life of me. If I was in the 80s, and I'm an 80s kid at heart, so like in at heart I feel like I'm an 80s kid. I would love to have grown up in that era, but if I'm at a party with a bunch of these other 80s kids, I am not going to be poking a hole, because then it'll just drip all over me. I'm going to open up a beer can like a normal fucking ass human being and then sip it out of the can.
Yes.
Like, I just don't get that.
Yes. And then we get the scene at the house, and I've never thought, should I stay or should I go, would be such a creepy song, but they actually make it like that.
And yeah, and the use of music throughout this whole series, like as we talked about, it's
amazing.
It's an 80s show, so you get some 80s bangers in there that are so good that are still timeless to this day. But should I stay or should I go? Almost. I love the theme song already, but you can almost say that maybe that should be the theme song of the show, because it is used a lot throughout the rest of the series, and it is used brilliantly. And yeah, I think it's great, and it revitalizes a lot of the songs too.
Yeah, like running up that hill.
Yeah, whenever you like, people forgot about that song, and then it made a huge comeback. Whenever,
yes. And then later on at the party, if you get that heartbreaking scene where Nancy's like telling Barb to go home, and it is heartbreaking because we know this is the last conversation that she's ever gonna have with Barb.
Oh yeah.
That it's like that. It brings up that conversation that a lot of people have. Like, if you have an argument with your mom, you're yelling, and you guys are yelling at each other. You're like, imagine if that was my last conversation that I've ever had with my mother, kind of a thing, or a friend, or a partner, kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's just to be like, I'm fine, just go, kind of deal. It's Oh, that would be so rough. Yeah. And you really, that's why you just feel so much sadness for Barb, because but I also, at the same time, while I feel sadness for Barb could have just decided to go. She stays for whatever reason compels her. She decides to stay on the on the diving board and just sit there at the pool. Like, what was she gonna do? Like, wait for Nancy to come out? Like, Nancy's not gonna come out. She's blinded by love, so you could have gone in the car and just left, but she didn't, and she bites the dust for that, which is really sad. But then we get do you have any other thoughts on episode 2?
No, that's everything. That's all of my notes for episode 2.
Well, now we got chapter 3, Holly Jolly. It's named after a Christmas song, so there you go. I know you're excited about that, because this is this whole season is kind of slightly gives hints of Christmas, but this one utilizes Christmas lights in such a great way. The
whole season uses Christmas lights great, but this is the episode that introduces the Christmas lights.
Oh yeah, basically, we this is the episode that really shows us the Upside Down and how the Upside Down works. Well, because we saw it towards the end of episode 2 when, Barb gets dragged in there and you see everything happen. But this is what really, confirms Barb's death, but also this is what shows what the Upside Down is, what it's capable of, how it works, how it affects even electricity and everything, which is interesting.
Yes.
Interesting like that.
Yes, and I just have on here the opening with Barb in there and how it's intertwined with Nancy and Steve up in his bedroom.
Yeah.
It's so emotional and it was so well cut and everything.
Yeah, very well edited. And it's sad because it's like the Upside Down, it's a parallel of our world, right? So it's like she's looking at the house, she's looking at everything that looks normal, but it's all viney and disgusting and has a bunch of other elements to it.
Yes. And then it leads to a moment that I find to be really silly that I just loved for some reason. It's when when they're back in the house and the kids realize that Elle has her powers. And Dustin is holding the Millennium Falcon. Maybe she can make it fly. Throws it on the ground. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, one more time.
Dustin is also he is a competitor for my favorite of this whole show.
He's probably one of my he's my favorite kid. Dustin is my favorite of the kids, and probably Steve and Robin are my 2 favorites. But Dustin, I'd say, is a solid 3rd.
Oh yeah, he's great. I would say for me, it's like Hopper, Steve, and then probably Dustin for me, something like that. But
we'll get into them later. We'll get into that later because man, they're dynamic in future seasons.
Oh yeah, so and once we get to Robin, I'm excited to discuss that once we get there. But yeah,
I mean, and then, also the Steve and just the Steve and Dustin one that is.
Oh yeah.
Too.
So good. This is also, Nancy looking for Barb, doesn't know where Barb is, and this is really the beginning of her growth as a character, is this episode as she's struggling to know what happened to her best friend.
Yes, this is what I call Romeo and Juliet syndrome. I use that a lot where we know something and we just want to yell, "She's dead! She's dead!" at the screen. And Steve genuinely, when he sees Nancy at the school, he genuinely cares about her and he's genuinely concerned about her. And I'm like, God damn it, you went from a frat bro to actually good again in one scene.
I know. And that's the thing. He does genuinely care about her, and you can see it. But it's when he's hanging out with the wrong group that he starts to kind of distance himself or not really be as appreciative of her.
Yes, and I love that scene where Ellen the Christmas as the music box going while she's looking at the family pictures, the things that she doesn't have.
Oh yeah, that's and her trying to piece together things, and then also when they're trying to teach her how to talk, how to say certain stuff, and how it's saying, I'm going to here, hold this, I'm going to come back when this clock says this time, and all that, and the way that they'll try to communicate with her is really heartwarming and really precious and just delightful.
There's another thing in this episode that we see in other episodes, especially with the kid bullies, that I would give it flack for, but I realize how 80s it is, so I really can't, because especially the kid bullies, I'm watching them and I'm like, these guys have some of the most generic one-liners like ever. Like,
To be fair, they are talking like kids. I will say that. At least they do
yes,
talk like kids.
yeah, and I'm like, this is how 80s bullies kind of were. So, yeah.
Agreed.
And also, I believe this is the first episode where we hear the name Dr. Brenner.
I think so. Yeah, this is the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah.
All we were hearing before was Papa. Now this is the first time we actually hear Dr. Brenner, and we get more into his character and what his motivations are, and it's really eerie to say the least.
And just the fact that in this they find out the twist that Mike's body, and Mike's body, and even though we know it's a fake, when Mike is yelling at Elle because he thinks that is actually Will, and that Elle tricked him to think that he was still alive. That scene did hurt me because I knew that it was a fake. So I'm like, this is episode 3.
Which by the way, that scene is one of the ones that is reminiscent of Twin Peaks. Because they find the girl's body on the beach in Twin Peaks, and it's like very reminiscent of what Stranger Things did. So the Duffer Brothers borrowed from Twin Peaks for that scene, but definitely for other stuff as well. Yeah. And just that's a very heartbreaking scene, very emotional, because with kids, especially kids who are that close to Will, it's like, but you gotta really, they have trust issues already, and so like to be able to just break that trust there, it really hurt. And then also, it's really interesting when you're watching this, especially when I watched it for the first time, because they say, that is Will, like that matches the description, and it's really interesting how once we find out later, we'll get to it, but once we find out later, that's not Will. So then we get to episode 4, where just earlier at the end of episode 3, we had Winona Ryder talking, Joyce Byers talking to her son through Christmas lights, because she can see how the lights are interacting and how they'll blink off and on whenever the upside down is happening. So
yes, and it leads to a really funny scene.
Oh yeah,
when she goes into the shed and she gets the axe, all I can think of is The Shining.
Yes, that's all I could think of too.
I hate that scene.
I love how she like built herself almost like a wall Ouija board. It's like, because she has like all the lettering there with the lights all around.
I love that.
Does to talk to her son, and she does not care how crazy she looks, how crazy she seems. Everyone thinks she's insane. Bought all those Christmas lights. The guy at the store was like, Joyce, come on. And she's like, just ring me up. And, it's like, everyone thinks she's insane, but she does not care. She will do whatever it takes.
And I have to applaud the show for one thing that happens with the kids.
What?
The whole Mike being mad at 11 scene.
Oh, yeah.
Literally is over within one scene. And I'm like, okay. So we don't have to deal with that bullshit of, I'm mad at you for like 2-3 episodes, because trust me, I'm a fan of sitcoms, and you do not want to know how many times I chose like Friends. They pulled that shit for countless episodes, You're like, oh Christ, just talk already. You just
Yeah.
talk it out, work it out. But now it's like you're just like, oh, they're getting right to the point. Great.
Yeah. No, and that's what I love. They're not dragging things out or anything, which is really great. And yeah, I love that, she is she sees, I think it was in episode it was in episode 3, right, where the actual thing comes out of the wall to try to attack her. I think so, where the Demogorgon comes out of the wall in episode 3, and then that's why she has the axe ready in episode 4,
Yes.
because she's just like prepared for it to come
Yes.
back and fight her again and everything. And
Yes.
yeah, it was so good.
Yes, and also that scene, even though we know it's a fake body, it still hits me in the feels, that scene where they're looking at the body.
That does.
And now we do get, in my opinion, one of Steve Deve's douchiest moments in the show, and I don't even think he was around his friends at this part. Now
Yeah.
I understand why he does this, but I still think it's a douchey move. It's the scene where Nancy is talking to him, and he's like, "Barb is gone. We need the cops."
Yeah.
And Blinky's all, "But my parents are gonna be upset that I had a party." I'm
Yeah.
like, somebody is literally dead. I think that is a little more important.
Or at least in this case, gone missing. It's like that's more important than because they don't know she's dead yet, but like someone's gone missing who at the school, and it's like that's more important. That I think your parents will even understand. They'll say, "Oh, you had a party? Well, we'll talk about this later, son." But like someone's missing.
Yes.
That's gonna be something, because for Hawkins to have such a rare amount of like people missing, it's like, And speaking of Nancy, she kind of forms an unlikely alliance with Jonathan in episode 4.
Speaking of Jonathan, can we address the scene where him and his mother are having that argument in the street?
Oh yeah.
The reason I love it is I see both sides. I think Nancy's in the right, but I also think Jonathan is also in the right, because I understand his perspective really well as well.
Yeah.
We have to live in the now, and what we know is we found a body. We have to plan the funeral. We have to do this. We have to do that.
And he's thinking like, more so he's young and he's thinking his brother is dead. He's following what the evidence is showing, but he's not like, he hasn't seen what his mom has seen. His mom's seen an alien come out of the wall. Mom has seen a bunch of other stuff. Like, she knows something is up, and she's going to try to get to the bottom of it.
And also, what were you going to say?
And I was going to say, and also, whenever Will is like talking to her, I don't know if it's in this episode or the next episode, but whenever Will is talking to her through the wall, and she's trying to like communicate with him, and she's axing her, she literally axes her a hole through her own wall just because she's just wants to reach him. And it's just, oh, that is so emotional.
And also in this episode is where we see Elle's first disguises. And I have to admit, she looked really cute in that blonde wig.
When they gave her a makeover, that was really sweet.
And also it leads to something really funny, where they're like, "She's my cousin. Where is she from? Where is she from? Bad place, Sweden." I'm like, huh? Apparently, Sweden is a bad place.
Apparently.
And also, this is the episode where Hopper starts to realize also shit is going down, because this is the episode where he realizes that he was being like hacked into, that his home was like being like tapped into.
Yeah, that his home is being bugged, and then he goes to tell Joyce that she was right,
Yes.
and
And we get a badass Hopper moment at the hospital where he just punches out that other cop.
yeah, that was great. And because whenever she goes to examine the body, I loved how they filmed it in a way that you didn't see it. She, asks about the birthmark on her son, and so she was like, "Can you show it to me?" And they, they unveil it, but we don't get to see it. And so she comes out, and she's like, "That is not. I don't know who they have in there, but that is not my son." And I thought that was interesting because a mother would know, like, the birthmark on her own child. So I think that is really fascinating. So then we get into episode 5.
And we get a badass Hopper moment right away with him breaking into that facility.
Oh yes, that's how that was the end of episode 4 where he breaks into the facility and you see him.
The start of episode 5.
The start of episode 5. Yes.
And he's like going all Jason Bourne, I call it, like on the people in there.
Yeah. He is, but I mean, episode 4 ended in the great cliffhanger where he like actually snips the chain off with the tools, and then episode 5, he's breaking into the actual facility, finding out all the secrets that they're keeping locked, buried in this facility, and it's really kind of interesting. It's really interesting the stuff he finds. He finds the copy of Will's body that he opens up, and literally, like, it's stuffed with fluff. So we know it's a fake body, and he's just like, "What the hell?" And he knows that this facility has planted a fake body, has been up to something, and it's crazy.
And I've noticed something. This is kind of a funny nitpick. And it's happened in all the other episodes, but in episode 5, the fact they were still doing this really bothers me for some reason.
What?
Will! I'm like, calling his name has not helped you so far. What makes you think now it's going to help you?
Yeah, it's sort of like whenever someone's like shouts hello in a horror movie, it's like, well, it's like, yeah, it's stupid. But I also like the whole journey that the kids take trying to find the gate and everything to where the upside down is at, because 11 tells them that they need to close the gate in order for the upside down to kind of just close off and to stop any more things.
Yes.
Yeah. And the dynamic that they have with the teacher too. I love the science teacher. We haven't talked about the science teacher yet. I love the science teacher that they have, and the dynamic that they all have together, and him saying like, "Oh, who is this?" to 11's
that
character.
That was episode 4.
Episode 4. That was episode 4. You're right, but
yes, that plays Sweden. But speaking of character dynamics, I love that. But in this deeply intense story, you have time for this really tense moment between Jonathan and his birth father in this episode.
Oh yeah, because we know that Joyce contacts her ex-husband because she's just kind of broken, doesn't know what to do about Will and this whole situation. So she then, she has him over, and then there's that huge confrontation between Jonathan and his dad, and it kind of, brought back some interesting memories of my own father and kind of stuff there as well. So I thought that was interesting.
And also what I love, with the science teacher in this episode is when he's explaining the upside down and everything. I was expecting like a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo, but as he's explaining it, I'm like, why do I understand this? He explains it in a way that I'm like, this is actually understandable to the audience.
Yeah, and that's what I think. That's what I think about the whole show too. That I really like is the fact that they're able to make something so understandable to the audience, especially when they get the info from the teacher on how the science behind like a gate would work and everything. I think that the way that he addresses that science is actually really fascinating. So,
And I hate to go back to Hopper, but I'm also notice something else. His Careful is genuine. He's not doing this like, hey, I can get into Joyce Byers' pants,
Yeah, and he's a self-doer. He's that kind of a hothead kind of I'm going to do this on my own kind of personality, which is interesting. And speaking of Hopper, Ross Bristow brings up an interesting idea. It says, did anyone think the first time watching the show that the twist would have been Eleven is Hopper's daughter, like his bio daughter? I didn't think it was his biological daughter, but I did think that there was going to be some form of a connection between them, and there was. So that's
yes, and something that I legitimately like. Ironically, it's another Steve moment. It's when he goes back to talk to Nancy, and he actually acknowledges the fact it's the scene in the garage where he actually realizes he was right. They should go to the cops. Go to the cops. That was not a good move for him to not want to just because of the party. That was not a good move. And in my belief, it takes an even bigger man to be able to acknowledge what he did.
Yeah.
To actually go back and acknowledge it and legitimately apologize really separates the weak from the brave.
Oh yeah. I agree. Was this the episode where they had where they spray all the stuff on the
No, that's the next episode, I think.
Okay.
That's the next episode. That this is the one where he invites Nancy Byers to go to the movies.
Oh
yeah. Like, oh no, I can't because and is actually because her and Jonathan are going out to do more of the investigation about Will Byers.
Yeah.
About what has been going on.
Yeah, which is really it is sweet that he will let her have her moments, but
Yeah. And I love the moment at the end where Jonathan and Nancy in the woods. Nancy discovers the secret passage. She goes in, and that's the end of the episode.
Right. I want to take EDM's comment because I do not remember this. Wow, that's interesting. It says, remember award buzz online was pushing justice for Barb, and in the end, it got guest actress drama series nom for Shannon Purser as Barb, which is super interesting. So this does tell you the fan base of this. But the fact that she was nominated for playing Barb, but Winona Ryder was not nominated for playing Joyce, like, come on.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then in episode 6, we get our very first look at the Demogorgon.
Yes.
At like the actual, not just the figurine.
Well, this was the episode where I think where the actual tree opens up, right? And then like they and then you see the Nancy, goes inside the tree, and then all of a sudden you just start to see the tree close in on itself. And then episode 6 is where Jonathan goes to look for her.
Yes.
And then he sees the Demogorgon
Yes.
there in the actual upside down.
And then after they get out, they go back to her house. And this is where we get to one of my least favorite tropes in film. It was actually handled not the worst way here, but it still bothers me.
Oh, really? What's that?
Where you see Nancy and Jonathan together. Steve shows up in the window, sees them together. No conversation, no chance to clear things up. None of that. It's just like the what's going on kind of a thing. And that does bother me. That happens in like a lot of sitcoms and things like that,
Unfortunately, that is
cheating on
behavior.
you. I wasn't on cheating on you. I was on the phone with my sister, kind of a thing, which I've seen in a lot of sitcoms. So that trope does bother me because it's so could be easily solved.
Yeah, no, it could, and I think that it's just that's the angsty part of the show that definitely comes into play.
And speaking of arguments, there's one rivalry that did kind of go on a little bit too long, in my opinion.
Which one's that?
Lucas, being like, I don't trust Al. I don't trust Al. I felt like that should have.
And also, Lucas is very much like he is an asshole in this season, like straight up. He becomes better as the show goes along, but he is an asshole in this season.
Yes, and I feel like I'm like that. This could have been solved so much earlier.
Yeah.
So much earlier.
And to be fair, he also did get thrown by 11 across the field and hit something hard, and it's just like, oh shit, yeah, that's gonna.
Even before that, she had animosity.
Oh yeah.
Al, yeah. He was leading us the wrong direction, and all of that. And there's also a very confusing moment in this episode for me.
When I very first ever saw Lucas doing that, I thought it was a hint that maybe he likes Elle, and he's trying to do that because he liked her or whatever, and just didn't know how to express his feelings. When I very first watched the show, that's kind of where I thought,
no,
but they didn't. But,
and then we also get to a very confusing moment in this episode.
Which one's that?
That woman that Nancy, I believe, that woman that they go visit, was that 11's biological mother?
Yes, they explain that more in season 2, and we will get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
But they do. But that is supposed to be Elle's biological mother, and it's sad to see.
Confused as to why she doesn't go. Why events happen after season 1 when she has a biological mother.
Yeah, and she has a biological mother, and then they explain much more of why she is the way she is in season 2, and then what happened, why they got separated, all that stuff. So it's so that will definitely be the next discussion piece we'll have. But it is sad to see what her mom is what kind of condition her mom is in.
And then if we get the scene with them painting the Nancy is a slut on the theater, and
Mhm.
I am very mixed on this scene. Like, on one hand, I do feel for Steve because he literally saw Jonathan, like, what he thought was macking on his woman. So
Yeah.
that does make sense, but I do feel they went way too far with it. But I couldn't really be like, I hate you, Steve, for this, because part of me is like, I can understand why he's so upset, but he should have done something else.
Yeah, I agree. But I do like that they have their fight. Jonathan and him have a fight. He does say some awful, vile stuff to Jonathan. That's like, dude, you didn't need to say that shit. That was not cool to say.
Yes.
And then they have their fight, and then which, by the way, can I just say before I get to my next point, how like dopey the other cops are? Like Hopper's the only cop that even does his job correctly. The other cops are just such dopes. They're just kind of there. They're just like they're like the Ted of cops. That's what they are. It's like they're just kind of there, and
yes.
but
Yes.
but
Yes.
they arrest him, and then Steve they arrest Jonathan because Jonathan
Yes.
technically assaulted an officer, but then Steve does redeem himself in that scene, and this was kind of the start of his whole redemption arc. Was where he decides that group is just not good for him, that they went too far, and
that group,
and that he leaves the group, but then he also helps the guy, get the message off the
100
movie theater.
100%. This was the beginning of that.
Yeah.
And one thing about Lucas I do like is because Lucas is the black character, and as you know, in like horror movies, if you're a horror movie fanatic, you're a huge horror movie fan. There's that stereotype about the black guy, he's not gonna make it towards the end of the movie, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I love how they don't do that. I love how it's like, nope, he's gonna be okay. We're gonna keep him alive.
Oh yeah, and I do wish the show did have more diversity. I understand with it being a 80s, type of thing. 80s is very white cultured, but like
Yes.
but you still had black people in there. You still had other kinds of people in there. I just wish that you would have had maybe like an Asian teacher, maybe like this and that, had like a more diverse cast.
And we get to see in this episode that scene where the bullies confront the kids and they actually have a knife. And man, Dustin has got some balls in this scene because he has a knife at his throat and he's actually still talking back to the bullies.
It does, and they do not relent. You think that they would have relented the moment that they peed their pants that time, or that he peed his pants, or whatever. You think that they would have backed off then, but they do not relent, and they're picking on him, and then 11 shows up and uses her powers and like breaks his arm, and it's like, damn, yeah.
And it leads to one of my favorite insult/funny lines in the whole show. She's our friend and she is crazy.
Yeah.
And then
I love that. It's like, yeah, you better run. She's our friend. She's crazy. I love that line. It's so good.
And then it literally ends with the white vehicles of the government showing up in the streets. Like, this is the beginning of the end. This is the climax. This is the third act of the movie is starting.
And we get in this scene, or in this episode. It was either this episode or beginning of next episode. We get the coolest, most badass 11 moment, maybe this entire show.
Next episode.
Beginning of next episode. Okay, and yeah,
With
because
the-
this episode ends with the government coming in there, and then beginning of next episode, the badass 11 moment. She flips the car with her mind.
Best use of powers that I've seen this season so far.
Oh yeah. So it's so cool.
Wait,
to see that.
and also I need to correct you on something else. See, episode 7 is the one where Steve calls out the.
Oh, where Steve calls
Red.
out the. Oh yeah, calls out the
And
people, and then he
the-
fixes the board. So that's episode 7 is where he gets that arc, and then episode 7 is also, I think, when he shows up to the house
Nope.
to try to, and
Nope.
then
Nope. That
fights the
that's episode 8.
Oh, that's episode 8. Oh, okay.
The only
Yeah, that's when they prep everything. Oh yeah. Okay.
reason I know this is because I literally watched it today.
Oh, nice.
Like so it's like real. So this is like
Yeah.
really fresh in my
Yeah.
head.
I have my notes, but they're not like in, like they're just like scattered, not like in order. So it's like not like, and I watched this like a few weeks ago, so I'm like trying to remember which
I
episode
get-
is which.
I get
Right.
that. I get
Yeah.
I get that. I had to literally do mine like I had her episode 7 season 1 notes, and
Yeah.
just so that I knew the order of things to talk about.
He just finished season 1 rewatch. Yeah, he actually watched the finale tonight. I just did my finale. No, we have watched all 4 seasons. We're going through them again
Yep.
as rewatching all the seasons. We are going through all of them again, leading up to the 5th season, just to kind of like as just a road to Stranger Things 5. Since we love this show, we're just kind of doing a series on it. So stay tuned for all the reviews that we'll be doing. It'll be fun. But yeah, this was a great episode. Seeing, the government trying to come after them. Then we have 11 using her bathtub skills that she knows how to
Yes.
in this episode.
Yes.
And they're gonna use that as a way for her to go into the Upside Down and try to connect to Will and find a connection to Barb and all that. So
And
yeah.
what I loved about this episode was this is the connecting episode where Joyce and Hopper, Nancy and Jonathan, and the kids and 11,
oh yeah,
all of their stories come into one, and they're all together working on this. So it feels so. I love that it was the perfect time to introduce that. I feel.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's and that's really great to have them all come together finally to see how the different sides of things are, how like the maturity of the parents, the immaturity of the kids, all in the room together. It's just like really interesting. So yeah.
That then we get to my favorite episode of the season.
Well-
Episode 8 is my favorite episode, like,
Yeah.
of the season. I love a good ending.
Oh yeah, episode 8 is a great episode where Joyce and Hopper, they go into the Upside Down.
Yes,
And
and they're taken by the government, and
yeah,
and literally as they're being questioned, Hopper's like making jokes, smoking a cigarette while they're being questioned, and I'm like, I just love how cool and suave being
Oh yeah.
literally by being questioned by the government. Then you've got Joyce being emotional, but she's being a badass at it.
Oh yeah. And I love when they go in there and they find, the confirmation that Barb is dead, unfortunately, when they go in there in the Upside Down. And they go in there and they find they find Will's body, and he's got, this giant tube thing stuck in his throat. That's like the face hugger shit. That's all like sucking, injecting whatever into you. And so Hopper pulls it out, and they're doing CPR on him. And this scene, not gonna lie, this scene is what makes me like tear up. And whenever I watch it, the music they pick to play while he's trying to like do the CPR, and he's like imagining his daughter who died of cancer to what's happening with Will, and he's like, "Come on, kid," and as he's trying to give him the CPR, like, oh my gosh, it gets me emotional every single time.
So that's their story. And then you've got the kids in the gym,
Oh yeah,
running from. I'm breaking down the stories. I'm gonna get back to Nancy and Jonathan in that story, but
trying to find the chocolate pudding as well.
and then it's if you get that scene with Dr. Brenner coming in and the monster, and legit, I am going to say this right now, the most emotional Eleven and Mike moments in this episode.
Oh yeah,
Good
yeah.
night.
No, I agree. I think the 11 moments, the Mike moments are really precious this episode, especially the kiss that they share in that one scene. I think that it's really the way her face glows up when you see them kiss and everything. It's just really sweet and precious and adorable. That kind of young love, and I think it's also this is a really tense episode because you see the teenagers trying to deal with the Demogorgon on that side of things, where they're trying to fight it, they're trying to trap it, they buy all that supplies to try to trap it in there, burn it alive, and kill it.
And we finally get like the biggest redemption, like the biggest, in my opinion, Steve redemption moments of season 1 in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Not only does he not leave, but when he does leave, he gets to the car, about to get in, sees what's going on, goes back.
Yeah. I love that because he was about to chicken out, but he decided he's done running and then used the baseball bat, which would become like a signature thing for him later on, which I loved. The baseball bat with the nails, and they burn it, and they thought they killed it, but it looks like it ran away and such and did not die. So that's really interesting. And then you get to the school, and there's a showdown happening at the school, and the government has tracked 11 and her whereabouts. She uses her powers to like make all their eyes just like go blood red and like kill them and everything, which is like fucking badass. And as a runaway, the Demogorgon also shows up at the school and attacks Dr. Brenner, but we do not see his body, so we do not know if he is dead or not. We will find out as the seasons go along with you guys who are watching the show for the first time and watching our videos. So we will find out, but it is a really great showdown, and it ends in a really emotional kind of moment because we
Of
see we see Eleven give what looks like her life to,
Of course, if you've seen the rest of the
Victoria.
series,
Yeah,
if you know what's gonna happen.
you do. But it's still emotional in that moment
Yeah.
because, especially for Mike, because Mike loved her. He invited her to the snowball, for crying out loud, and they had their first kiss together, and then you see just her up and vanish, and he's like shouting her name, and she's not there, and it's just it's so sad. Yeah. And then the way this episode ends after that is we get a whole Christmas ending, which I know you probably loved, to get your Christmas themed ending here, the Christmas music, and there's some, a Christmas dinner happening with the Byers family, and Will goes to use the restroom and he vomits up a slug looking thingy, and that slug looking thingy might come into play later, but it is gross. And we also see Hopper lay out some Eggo waffles in the middle of the woods. He puts them in a little crate, Ben. So that's like a hint that Eleven's still out there. She's still alive, which is a nice little hint.
And we see Jonathan get a new camera.
Jonathan gets a new camera, which is really sweet. You find out that like Steve was the one that bought the camera for him, which was really nice because Steve was the one that broke his camera in the first place, and that was really sweet that he was able to do that for him. And then yeah, so all their stories kind of wrap up, and that's what I love about this show is it gives you that proper wrap up, but then leaves just enough open to entice you for the next season, like what happens with Will, throwing up the slug and everything, and what's gonna come of that,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do you have any other notes for the finale, or is that
no, I loved it.
Oh yeah, same. I loved it. We're going to do a kind of season ranking after we get through all of our season talk, guys, for you guys. Once we get season 5 and all of season 5, we're gonna go like rank all the seasons for you guys. But this is definitely up there, and it has been up there since day one of the show starting as one of my favorite seasons of the show. I think season 1 is absolutely phenomenal. Just a great setup for what's to come later. More small scale, which I really appreciated for something like this. It was a sci-fi show that was small scale. It didn't reach the movie budget heights yet, but it felt very personal, and it felt very very character driven, and I really appreciated that. And you got with just a cast of a bunch of different great characters in there, and a fascinating, intriguing sci-fi narrative for sure. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our Stranger Things season 1 review, guys. We just broke it down episode by episode for you guys. Join us 2 weeks from today. We will be doing our season 2 breakdown, going episode by episode. So that should be a lot of fun. Gives us all both enough time to rewatch season 2 again. So yeah, should be a really great time, guys. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share, get the word out there about this Stranger Things series, guys. And I did not know that Stranger Things won Best Title Design, but it absolutely deserved it. But yeah, get the word out there, guys. Be sure to ring that notification bell so you do not miss a single episode of this series that we'll be doing. We will see you all in the next one. Until then, stay classy, my friends, and keep on watching those TV shows.